What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Today, we're talking U.S. Open golf tourney and the LIV PGA Merger and more with our guy, Andrew Dubbsie Anderson. You know him from Sports Grid and FanDuel TV, betting on the ponies and betting on golf. How are you doing, my guy?
I'm doing good, Mox. This is, I can't even get the words out. It's that early in the morning, but hey, one of my favorite weeks of the year. We got a major championship, the US Open, and it's pretty fitting that's been hosted here in Hollywood with all the drama we've had the last couple of years, PGA Tour, LIV Golf, but excited to join you and talk it all up.
I am excited too, because I have been just dying to talk to somebody about this, and you were certainly the guy for the job. WTF, Dubbsie, WTF. Last year, it was like War of the Worlds. They brought in 9/11 into it, and they said you'd never have to apologize for playing for the PGA. And then here we are, and poor Rory. Rory was like their puppet, it seemed like. And then so what are your initial reactions? What does this mean for golf? Talk to me.
Yeah, I saw the news break, I guess, a couple of weeks ago now. I'm like, ha, 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 very funny. What are you talking about? And then suddenly more articles start to surface. And this is how the players found out as well. A lot of the golfers found out the day of, before this, groundbreaking news dropped there in professional sports. And there's still a lot more questions than answers. How is this going to look moving forward? Are Congress going to allow this to move forward? Because we know how nasty it's been the last 12 months in the courts, and both sides have spent millions on millions of dollars, and the future would have looked like the next 5 or 10 years staying in the courtrooms. The next step was discovery there, which would have meant all the deep dark secrets of the PGA Tour from the backers behind LIV would have come to the surface. No one wanted to see that, but I'm very interested to see how we move forward in terms of working together. And it should be noted, it's going to be the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and the same team behind LIV Golf, but not really LIV Golf. It's the Saudi Public Investment Fund, but essentially it's the same people behind LIV that will be in the room with the PGA Tour trying to work together with a collaboration moving forward. But for the golfers, we've heard of some of the numbers that were knocked back originally because these golfers wanted to show their loyalty to the PGA Tour. Will Zalatoris in excess of $100 million, Hideki Matsuyama in excess of $300 million. And now they're sitting around saying, I should have gone on a holiday for 12 months and I could have come back and played with the other guys. It's mind-blowing to say the least, but here we are.
So this is the first tournament since that merger happened. So I'm sure it'll be really interesting to see what the players think, how they'll be speaking to media. Obviously, I'm sure maybe they've been told what they can and cannot say. But ultimately, Dubbsie, in terms of golf, is this good for golf, right? There's no longer competing entities against each other. They're going to merge. For fans, it's better.
It really is, Mox. And, both of us been so involved with sports and betting and whatnot. There's only so much golf we can take. And that's coming from me, who's an absolute golf degenerate. But, golf still, I see it as being a niche sport. We can't have multiple tournaments going on every week. No one wants to watch that much golf. So I think the future will be a bit of a hybrid. The PGA Tour will still be the pinnacle for professional golf. The DP World Tour over there in Europe, I think they'll get a bit more funding, and hopefully we can still make that the feeder tour, bring in the best here, and also sort of pump up some of their domestic tournaments because they got some very good golfers over there. And I think we do see a blended version of what LIV looks like today, where we get the teams events. It might be a couple of stops on the global calendar, maybe 8 events for the year where we see the teams format. Maybe the guys can have a bit more fun, and we appeal to the global audience. I think that's a really good suit from the LIV series. But from reports I'm hearing, LIV will still be in full effect next season. After that, I don't think it will be. But I think it could look great. And for LIV, they get structure. They get a bit of return on their investment. And for the PGA Tour, well, they're going to get a massive shot in the arm in terms of investment from that public investment fund.
So really, it's about money.
It always is. Always about money. It's just, we could have gone to this table 12 months ago when everyone was saying, why don't we try and work together to move forward? LIV, we're pushing forward. But the CEO, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, unfortunately, I think he's a little crook this week. Everyone knows the script. He really went after him and said, this is not a thing. It's blood money. We're not working with him. And now he's going to be the CEO of this collaboration moving forward. Yeah, more questions than answers. And that's how the players feel as well.
Well, and that's what upsets me about it. You can't bring up something like 9/11 that means something to Americans, and there's so many people that were affected by this, whether personally or just being an American or being a human being. You can't
Yeah.
bring that into it and then take the money. Like, it's really a bad look. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But you know what they say, Debs, if you can't beat them, join them. And
Right.
that seems to be what happened here. All right, we're taking a quick break, and then we will talk US Open with our guy Dubbsie and make some bets. You're watching Moxie Bets. We'll be right back. Tickets to the game, merch, meals at iconic restaurants, stays at Caesar Palace. All this can be yours when you bet with Caesar Sportsbook. Win or lose, every bet earns reward credits, which you can redeem across the empire. Now, if you haven't started yet, register using code OMAHAFULL and then place your first bet up to $1,250. If you win, great. You keep those winnings. But if you lose, you'll get your stake back as a bonus bet. Welcome back to Moxie Bets. Here with our guy, Dubbsie, who you can find on FanDuel TV and Sports Grid as well. Dubbsie, LA, your hometown right now. Well, not where you're from. We know you're Australian, but where you are living now, LA Country Club hosting this year's US Open. It's the first major championship held at the club. It will also be the first men's major in Los Angeles in 28 years and the area's first US Open in 75 years. What is unique about this course and how pumped are you?
Yeah, I mean, very excited, Mox. I was actually going to join LA Country Club until I realized I didn't have $500,000 or I wasn't invited to join.
I was
But
going to
anyway,
say, Dubs.
yeah. This is look, fantastic golf course. Very excited to have another major out here on the West Coast. A couple of years ago, we're down there at Torrey Pines where John Rahm had the big win. But this is an absolute brute of a golf course, and it's not one that's going to look too familiar from what we see week in, week out on the PGA Tour. This is not bomb and gouge. You cannot overpower it. There's a lot of wasteland that comes into play. It's going to look very similar to the Sandbelt courses that we see down under, yes, in my native country of Australia. But very excited. A lot of golfers come in with a lot of form as well. We saw at Augusta, John Rahm gets the green jacket. We saw at the PGA, Brooks Koepka, he gets that big win. I think Brooks has still been doing a little bit of partying, if you will, but really tough track, par 70, 7,400 yards with 5 par 3s, Box. And get this, a couple of the par 3s over 280 yards. They're getting close to par 4s. But we have the 15th, which can play as short as 80 yards. Now, I mean, that's just a flick of a sandwich for you, Mox, but that's the kind of contrast the players will be tested with.
That is crazy. So just before a tournament, if the player, how many days do they get to play the course, trying to get to know it before it tees off?
Yeah, and the beauty of the majors is we're always swapping every year, unless we're going back to Augusta National, which they know really well. But the golfers will try and get a couple of practice rounds in, the lead up months coming into the tournament. But the week of, generally you have to play in a pro-am on the Monday or Wednesday. Then you'll try and get a practice round on the Tuesday as well. So they might get 2 looks at the golf course before they tee off on Thursday afternoon, which is not a lot. And this is a golf course where if you know it, well, that's a massive leg up over the field. But for a lot of the guys this week, they don't. You'll hear the narrative. Max Homa has the course record here. So if anyone's got a bit of course history, Max has certainly figured it out. But that was a good 10 years ago now.
Oh, well, that's some good insight. All right. Matt Fitzpatrick won this major last year. He was -6 under par, plus 3,500 at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. Do you expect the field to be near par through this tourney?
Yeah, I think winning score, we could be pushing 9, 10 under par. It all depends how the course plays out over the week. Usually for US Open, we know what we're going to get. It's going to be hard. It's going to be firm. It's going to get faster as we move into the weekend. And the way this course is set up, there is a lot of runoff. There is a lot of undulation. There's a lot of fairway bunkers that these golfers will find a lot of trouble. So if we get a bit of weather, maybe it plays towards 9, 10 under par. But if it does play really firm, everyone is going to have a hard time going under par. Whenever we get a par 70, moreover, a par 72, less par 5s, that's less scoring opportunities for these golfers. They don't like it, but as fans, we do. So winning score, I think, could push 9, 10 under par. And if we're looking at a cut mark, I think it's certainly going to be over par this week, maybe floating right around 2, 3 over. And that's where the big names really step up. In a major, you can't win it on Thursday or Friday, but you can certainly lose it and take yourself out of the mix.
Well, you already mentioned him, Max Homa, plus 2,500, 25 to 1, however you say it. You said it's his hometown. I think the last time he played here was 10 years ago. What do you expect from him? Are you expecting big things? 25 to 1, not bad.
Yeah, I really am. High expectations on Max Homa. There's a good handful of players who have come onto the tour this season, and they're ready for that next step. You know, Max has had 2 wins, both being out here on the West Coast. You might think, what's so special about that? Like, is he just enjoy playing in front of his friends and family? Well, the greens can get a little different out here west. They get really bumpy in the afternoon. They start growing towards the sun. Max, very comfortable playing out here in California. He's shown us that. And the next level for him is winning a major. I think he can now believe he is that good. And that's the only thing that has been holding Max Homa, a bit of belief in himself. But his golf game is that well. He'll take a lot of confidence from the fact that, yes, he did figure out this golf course 10 years ago when he shot that course record. So Max Homa, all the golf game in the world and no weakness. That's what we're looking for this week. Not a long driver, not a short game specialist, a well-rounded golfer. And that's what Max Homa is.
Okay, so at 25 to 1, we think that's good value. Who would be, some of your picks for top contenders?
Yeah, so given that we've got the big three who have been trending this year, Scotty Scheffler's going to be there, John
Yes.
Rahm's going to be there. Those
Yes.
numbers are a little too short for me, Mox. So I'm going for a bit of value this week. Another California kid, Colin Morikawa, sitting there right around 30 to 1. That number's showing a bit of movement, but I mean, this is a 2-time major winner. He's 26 years of age. He grew up down the road, so very familiar with this course as well. And you look at what he does well. Second in strokes gain on approach. That tells us he's one of the best iron players in the world. He's 6th in driving accuracy. That tells us he keeps it in play. The only thing that has been holding him back has been that short game. But week by week, it is starting to look better and better. And a young guy who is not going to be overawed by the situation, Colin Morikawa at a price.
Will you explain to me golf odds, right? Because I don't normally bet golf. Sometimes I'll tail your picks, but in football and in basketball, you see something at plus 600, you're like, oh my God, great value there. And what you just said, you're like, oh, that's not a lot of value. So explain to me, golf odds a little bit and why something like plus 600 isn't attractive.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot more variance in golf. We got 150 golfers teeing off on Thursday. It's, a little more than the two teams going against each other. And with that being said, the outright market is where we live, but where we really make that money is with some of the prop markets, heads ups going,
Yes.
top 20s, top 40s. But at 6 to 1 plus 600, given the week of the field, maybe it's a good price, but going against this field at a major championship where everyone is bringing their best stuff. And, I mentioned Morikawa, a major champion, one of the best golfers in the world. We can get 30s to 1, 32 to 1. Maybe you can even go a little further down the board. This is the beauty of the golf betting, that you do get these big numbers. And I would say the closest comparison would be horse racing. Imagine if you had 150 horses going into the gates and you had your top contenders, but over 4 days of golf, so much can go wrong. You can get a couple of bad breaks. Maybe a golfer doesn't feel well on Thursday. Maybe their game just doesn't line up to a golf course. So with that, there's always a lot of chance for a bit of the unknown and a bit of chaos as well.
Well, and I feel like that happened this year. If we want to talk about horse racing at the Kentucky Derby, I mean, all those suspicious deaths of some of the
Not
top
good.
horses or people getting scratched. That was very, very interesting. All right, so let's talk about some of these prop bets then. What do you expect the cut line to be? What are your best bets to either make the cut or miss the cut?
Oh, Mox, wait, why are you going to do me like this? I think the cut will be right around 2-3 over pass. I'll say 2 over. Makes it through the weekend, 3 over, and I think you're going to miss the boat. And I think the course gives up a few more birdies Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, it is going to play really tough. Winning score, I'd say will sit right around 9-10. If the book's got it set 9 towards the unders, I'll take the overs. Give me 10 under or better.
Okay, all right, let's talk about Phil. I mean, he actually looked great at the Masters, which was surprising to a lot of people. Why is he getting so much attention now? He's a little svelte as well.
Yeah, and I mean, he's one of the golfers who's still chasing that career slam at the majors, and it will be this week. And you take a look at his history at the US Opens. He's had 6 runner-up finishes. He's as close can get. Now 53 years of age. I think he'll actually be a bit more at ease given the recent news of the LIV and the PGA Tour. He'll show up and no longer will he be looked at as the bad guy. He may actually go back to being one of the guys who changed golf forever in the history
Yeah.
books. We know how good he is on the golf course. I guess the big difference maker for Phil is Augusta. He knows inside out. Every year we go back there. Coming out to LACC, I mean, he's another, I wouldn't say California kid. Phil's he is getting up there in age right now, but look, to make the cut, these experienced, these salty types, they know how to stay in the fight. And I think that number's getting a little short there for Lefty to miss. And as you mentioned, we saw some decent form out of him at Augusta. Since going back to play LIV and the PGA, it's been a little spotty. But again, you need short game this week. You need grind. Still one of the best artists with a wedge in his hands.
All right. Well, this still is television and it still is entertainment. And we've got Brooks Koepka and Rory McIlroy paired together. One is the face of LIV and one has been the face, or like I said earlier, more the puppet for PGA. And there was so much drama. This is must-watch TV, right?
It is. Brooksy! Do you remember Mox like 2 seasons ago where that was the big storyline of professional golf? Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks, fans are yelling out each other's names. They should be banned from the golf course. That's when we thought golf was exciting. No. This is going to be exciting and it's going to be must watch. In terms of the golfers, how they feel towards one another, I don't think there's as much hostility as there will be from Rory looking at the higher-ups from the PGA Tour who have done him dirty by sticking around and now working with the investment fund there. But in terms of what to expect on the golf course, Brooks Koepka, he wins that PGA Championship and he's gone an absolute party. We've seen him at the Florida Panthers games. He's popping up all over town. Has he been on that golf course working on the golf game, Mox? I don't know. But the thing about Brooks is he knows how to play these majors. He knows a lot of these guys can't figure him out. For him, he's not trying to win it on Thursday or Friday, Saturday. He just hangs around. He's happy making a tough bogey, a tough double bogey, and he always keeps himself in the race. And for Rory McIlroy, slow starter, first day. Thursdays traditionally does not play his best golf, but on a golf course that he doesn't know well, it forces Rory to get out of his own way. When he's playing up and down, he's playing golf swing, he's a disaster. He is the most talented golfer, but it is tough to watch at times. So if you're looking to jump in to watch these two, I would say target Brooks Koepka in the Thursday matchup, Friday matchup, but for the tournament matchup, I do think Rory McIlroy has a very good showing because this is the golf course that will distract him, and that's exactly what Rory McIlroy needs.
Do you think that all of the pressure is on Rory? I mean, he's got to be pissed off.
Yeah.
And you got to believe that he wants to get out here and win this one. And certainly with this matchup, do you feel like most of the pressure is on Rory at plus 1,200 more than Koepka at plus 900?
Yeah, I do. And for Rory, I mean, how much longer can he keep on going? It's got to be exhausting. Everything he's gone through off the golf course. Last week, he was up in Canada trying to go for the hat trick. That is very taxing. And Rory's always going to be that guy. We saw him knocking back some press requests earlier this week. So I think the pressure is always going to be on Rory McIlroy. For Brooks Koepka, he's always the villain. He's always the bad guy. He was being cheeky again this week, teasing reporters that you'll see him at next week's PGA Tour event. We know that's not going to happen, but that's how Brooksy plays it. He's one of the few golfers who brings that, I guess, NBA bad guy, NFL bad guy mindset where he rolls the sleeves up. He wants to get the big biceps out and try and intimidate some of these golfers, which I think he does a pretty good job with at times.
Did he ever answer to those pupils that he was rocking at the Florida Panthers game, or he just kind of laughed that one off?
I don't know, Mox. I assume it was just a couple of long nights, and he didn't get to bed, get the needed sleep, celebrating that win in the second major. But look, quite a golfer, and golf's a game of confidence. A year ago, when Brooks left the PGA Tour, his golf game was shot. I didn't think he was coming back. I thought he was taking the bag and saying, see you later. But full credit to not only Brooks, to a lot of these LIV golfers. They're still competitors. They're still dogs out there on the golf course, and now they want to show up and contend at the majors. Brooksy's absolutely live coming into this one.
So, I mean, yeah. I was like, okay, all right, I see you, Brooks. I see you, Brooksy. I haven't talked to you since Full Swing came out on Netflix, and I watched that, and now I am a huge Tony Finau fan. Like, I absolutely love him. What did you think of the series? What were maybe some of your favorite storylines that you felt like came out of that, and how good was this for golf?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I guess it started with the drive to survive on the F1. I'm like,
Yes.
I didn't even know Formula One was still a thing, and I'm sure there's people who have watched the golf one saying, "Wow, the PGA Tour, these players actually have a bit of personality," and that's what we need. Even as
Yes.
bettors, you're not just going to jump in and play a major if you don't know who these golfers are. But now you know the narratives behind some of the bigger names. I thought Joel Damon, what a fantastic story, and one of the best guys out there on the tour. Tony Finau. I mean, who would I like to have a beer with? Big hidden Tony
Oh,
Finau. And his golf game is fantastic, Mox. This is a player who really struggled late on Sundays, but he kept putting himself in contention. He kept working on his golf game. The short game has really sharpened up. He got a couple of wins there last season on tour. Another guy, that next level for him is winning a major championship. You put him on a big ballpark. Tony Finau. Yeah, you'd love to see him. You couldn't see him win enough majors or tournaments. One of the real good guys of the tour.
good guy of the tour, family guy, and he
Yeah.
travels with his family. He just seems like he always puts them first, which look, you look at the best in the league or best ever, someone like Tiger Woods who kind of put himself first for a long time. I wouldn't say that he's like that right now. So sometimes when you're that cutthroat, yeah, you're the best, but you miss out on a lot of other things. So I just think that Tony Finau is just living life right. Who were your favorite long shots? Anybody that we should maybe sprinkle a little bit on for the tourney?
Yeah, so we mentioned, some of the big names and how short they were up top. Well, that's great if we're looking for value. So Morikawa 30 to 1, 32s, whatever price you may find.
I'm firing on that.
That's fantastic. But Justin Thomas locks. Now, JT, two-time major winner, I still consider to be one of the best golfers in the world. You look at the stats for him, top 15 tee to green. So the ball striking's there, the driving's there. The short game, he's actually really picked up this season. That's been phenomenal. It's just the putter. The flat stick has been letting JT down, and that's always going to be the most variance for a professional golfer. But you give me this kind of pedigree on a golf course that requires artistry, shot making, grit, short game, Saturday, Sunday. Justin Thomas at that kind of bomb price, sign me up. And then if you're looking for a big hitter on a big ballpark, two top fives at the four major championships last year, Cameron Young. I've seen him 50 to 1s, 55 to 1s. If you can get that kind of price, this guy is built for the big stage, and he's still looking for that breakthrough win. He's got a couple more chances on my card, Mox. What point do you say we're learning lessons from being in contention, not winning? And at what point do you say, well, we're starting to build up scar tissue by just hanging around? But Justin Thomas at a very big price and Cameron Young are the two value plays for me.
Will you be there at Los Angeles Country Club this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get out there on Saturday if I can find a couple of hours. But you can imagine it's going to be a jungle out there. LA primed up for their big sporting events. We go to the Staples Center. We don't even know who's playing basketball. We don't even know who's the starting five of the Lakers, but we just go there to be there. Well, it's going to be the same for the US Open. It's going to be packed, but this is a golf course you got to see firsthand. It's an absolute breathtaking masterpiece of real estate, which I can imagine would go for quite the tag as well. But so many storylines, all the big hitters come in with a lot of form, and I think it will be a great tournament to attack on Saturday, on Sunday. Look at the live betting because it is going to be a really congested leaderboard moving through the weekend. No one is going to run away with this thing.
No one is going to run away with this thing, but you gave us some very good bets to make. Before we get out of here, what is your favorite course, either to play or, I know you were a caddy for a while too, or just be a spectator? Is it Torrey Pines?
Torrey Pines is beautiful, Mox, but I think it was last year I went up to Pebble Beach, and Pebble Beach is just something else.
Yeah.
I mean, even for a golfer, non-golfer, there's about 7 golf courses all within walking distance. In Pebble, I mean, just breathtaking. Up there at Carmel. Once I win the lotto, or once I cash an absolute monster parlay, you see these parlays like $10 bringing back 10 million. That's where I'm moving.
Yes.
I'll be playing Pebble Beach on the daily, Mox.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I'm from the Bay Area, and so I've never played. My dad has, but nobody wanted to pay for me to play on Pebble Beach or Spyglass or any of those. But it is so beautiful. And yeah, sometimes you're in the woods, sometimes you're on the water, and just that 17-mile drive, everything about it is so beautiful. So I have to agree with you on that one. Dubbsie, always such a treat. Thank you so much for getting up with us this morning. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social. I'll also follow Dubbsie on social. Dubbsie, let everybody know where to find you.
At Mr. Dubbsie, Insta, Twitter. Apologies in advance, but always looking for a good time. So let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, everyone. See you next week.